speculate a little bit on the new patch. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I really do, in the comments. You know, I want to listen and kind of read up on what people are hoping for in this new patch. Do you hope Dota becomes faster paced? Do you want it to go back to the patch when there was 2 tomes and everyone got a ton of XP? Do you want that? Do you want Dota to continue to slow down? What heroes do you want buffed? For instance, here's a couple of heroes, about 6 or 7, that I want to see get buffed. Number 1 is Dazzle. I just feel like this hero is brutally out of place right now. I frankly don't know what the purpose of picking Dazzle is. It's a decent hero in pubs, I'll be honest, but it's just awkward. You know, it's awkward. The hero's laning stage is okay. It's alright. Poison Touch, as a spell, essentially requires you to have a safe laner with some sort of disable. Otherwise, it feels very difficult to use this spell. It's purgeable. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the better changes that could be made to Poison Touch to make Dazzle a viable hero, that I think could be a great change, like even his only change, this would make it much more viable, is if Poison Touch pierced spell immunity. Not necessarily, it should be like Maledict, where you can't use it through BKBs. Like if someone BKBs, you can't just Poison Touch them, right? I think that would be a bit too strong. But it's like Maledict, if you put it on them, and then they BKB, it doesn't purge it. And same thing with Lotus Orbs and Euls. It's just like your only disable spell is just purgeable. It's like, what? How is that possible? And so yeah, I think that's a buff that would be extremely nice for Dazzle. That makes a lot of sense to me. And maybe slightly increase the slow as well. And then all of a sudden, I think this hero would become quite viable. Because this laning stage would then make a lot more sense. You couldn't just easily counterpick Dazzle. I mean, literally, heroes with purges like Oracle and Abaddon and Legion, I mean, they just make Dazzle feel nearly useless in the laning stage, which is a shame. I don't feel like most heroes should be useless, like completely useless in the laning stage. Next up on the list, we have OD. I actually don't think the hero is that bad necessarily in the right game, but you really need to be playing it against like Troll and Morphling, and even against Morphling, it's kind of meh. He can still, you know, do a lot of magical damage to you. But if it's not a good OD game, I feel like this hero is just clunky. Ever since they made Astral like dog cast range at level 1, I mean, it is so bad. It's so bad. You can't Astral people in the laning stage nearly as well as you could in the past, and honestly, I'm kind of okay with this change. It just hurt the hero a lot, and I don't know how you fix OD, because honestly, I never spend any time playing this hero. I don't care about OD. Frankly, I don't like OD as a hero, but I do feel like it should get buffed nonetheless, you know, putting my emotions aside. Then we have Silencer. I think this hero is like pretty close to being a viable hero. I mean that. I actually think the hero is a bit underrated and should be considered more in various matchups, but you know, it always runs into the same issues that Silencer runs into. As a core, can't really farm, you get locked down pretty easily, you're very gankable, and as a support, you just have such a long cooldown ultimate. It's very awkward, and yeah, that's kind of his dilemmas, so maybe they could just buff up some of his spells, some number changes. I think that would be good enough. The hero is very close to being viable, in my opinion. Next up on the list, we have Pudge. I mean, come on, like, they need to lower hook cooldown by like 5 seconds at every level. Maybe 3. Okay, 3. 5 was a bit high. I think that's what they should do. Or what they should do, okay, one or the other. They should either change the hook or increase rot by like 10%. Slow. I know that's a lot. Like, that's a lot, but he needs it. He needs it. You hook someone, and unless you have, like, level 4 rat, they just walk away. Because you're slow. Your hero's, like, 280 base. It's so bad. It's so bad. Then we have Tinker. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. This hero, maybe, like, lower the mana cost of some of his spells. Help him out during the early game. It would also make him much more sustainable in the mid game. That's an option. Then we have Huskar. What do you guys think about Huskar? Have you been seeing Huskar in your pubs? I personally have seen like little to none in my pubs. I never see this hero. I feel like they made Sanj worse on him for sure. You know, you can't make this like status resist god build on Huskar anymore. They increased the price of Armlet not too long ago. And yeah, I don't know. I think this hero, it needs to be given away where it can be a little bit better in the laning stage, like slightly better in more even matches, right? Like let's say the Lina Huskar matchup or the Leshrac Huskar. I think it needs to be a little bit better. Maybe some number buffs to its passive, and then farm a little bit faster. Maybe they could, yeah, I think they could just buff the passive a little bit and make the hero viable. And finally, last but not least on the list, we have Luna. I just think out of all the safe lane heroes, while it is viable in some games, and we have seen pro teams pick it, you know, typically you'll pick it with like another ranged hero in lane because it only provides damage to ranged heroes. I don't know why, like, I really just feel like they should just make Luna be viable as a support again. I don't like the fact that they made it where it's only ranged heroes get the buff of Lunar Blessing, which is the extra base damage. I don't get it. I just straight up do not get it. Why did they do that? The hero was fine. Like, when it could give damage to, I think it was everyone, right? Yeah, she used to give damage to everyone. I felt like Luna was like this really cool hero. Like, I enjoyed watching this hero. Like, maybe some people found it boring because it's just like a walking damage passive and cool nuke. But I really feel like that was like, I don't like the fact that they made it for ranged heroes. I personally just disagree with that. I don't feel like you could pick Luna and be like, yeah, this is Drow, and we're going to pick her with a bunch of ranged heroes. And because the problem is, Drow can actually kite people. Drow is a silence, Drow is a slow, Drow is a long range slow. Luna, she can't kite people. She's like melee range, and then she has like a mini stun, and that's it. You can't kite people with the Luna draft. And Luna also can't really fight nearly as well as Drow can in the early game for the same exact reasons. And so I just don't like the fact that Lunar Blessing is like, you have to pick another ranged right-click hero to make this viable. You gotta pick Medusa. Oh, shoot, you have a Medusa. Now you can't farm. And you're playing Luna.